Hi. So today's topic is developmental defects of structures which affect the teeth. So the most common type of autosomal dominant disease which affects the structure of the teeth is the dentinogenesis imperfecta. So we'll continue with this in this video. So dentinogenesis imperfecta is also known as hereditary opalescent teeth. Why it is called as hereditary opalescent teeth? Hereditary because it is the most common autosomal developmental defect. Opalescent because here the teeth becomes translucent in color. So next we should know the types of dentine. There are three types of dentine: primary, secondary and the tertiary dentine. The primary dentine consists of the mantle dentine and the circumpulpal dentine. Mantle dentine is the first formed dentine, and the circumpulpal dentine, as the name suggests, it surrounds the most of the dentine it forms and surrounds the pulp area. The mantle dentine consists of the Woncroft fiber, which is type 3 collagen, and circumpulpal dentine consists of type 4 collagen. Then the secondary dentine, it is formed post root formation, and this secondary dentine it obstructs the pulp as with the aging. Now the tertiary dentine, it is only formed, it is also called during the response to external injury or any stimuli like the caries or trauma, etc. It is divided into reactionary dentine and reparative dentine. Okay, next we'll study about the Bell stage, that is the teeth formation. So how does this dentine forms? Two process: matrix formation and mineralization. What happens in this Bell stage is the dental papilla, which laid down the odontoblast cells, which later forms a thin layer of dentine if there is any defect. Okay, as you can see, the odontoblast forms the thin layer of dentine, that is called as the mantle dentine. If there is any defect in the matrix formation or mineralization during this process, odontoblasts fail to form a proper dentine layer, which later results in dentinogenesis imperfecta. Okay, now next is classification. Two types of classification was given: the Shield classification, and later this Shield classification was revised. Shield classification is type 1, that is dentinogenesis imperfecta with osteogenesis imperfecta, which involves the bone deformities. Type 2 is dentinogenesis imperfecta without osteogenesis imperfecta, and type 3 is the Bradywine type. Later on this was revised and this type 1 was discarded, and now the type 1 is dentinogenesis imperfecta without osteogenesis imperfecta, and type 2 is the Bradywine type. Okay, now what are the clinical features of type 1 revised classification, that is dentinogenesis imperfecta without osteogenesis imperfecta, also known as Capdedon teeth or Shield type 1? It is because of the mutation of the genes with dentine silophosphatase protein, which is associated with dentinogenesis imperfecta. It affects both the dentition, that is both primary and secondary dentition. Now this dentinogenesis imperfecta can result into two types, that is excessive dentine deposition or very little dentine deposition. This excessive dentine deposition is seen in the secondary tooth, permanent tooth, and less dentine forming is seen in the primary dentition. Okay, as you can see in this photo, first occurs the dentine formation, later the enamel formation. So as the dentine is defected, the enamel will also be very brittle, and atresion, wear in stress is very common, is seen in dentinogenesis imperfecta, and the tooth color is this brownish discoloration of the teeth will be seen. So because of the excessive deposition, as I already told you, which is seen in the permanent dentition, there will be pulp obliteration. So much of dentine will be formed here that the pulp will be completely obliterated. The color is the blue grain color or the amber color. It is defective dentine, so affects the enamel that the atresion of the teeth is very common. Now radiographic feature, it is hardly pulp area is seen. The root canals are small or completely obliterated. You see in this picture, the root canals are hardly seen or it is completely obliterated. This is the radiographic feature of dentinogenesis imperfecta. Now coming on to the type 2, that is the Bradywine type. Both the dentition are affected, atresion, wear, smooth, and the dentine, because of the exposure of the dentine, the dentinal area is smooth and amber in color. Multiple exposure, pulpal exposure will be seen because the dentine is defected, enamel is defected, so pulp exposure is high. Less forming dentine, mostly seen in deciduous dentition. As you can see here in this photo, the pulp chambers are enormously enlarged because the dentine deposition is very thin layer of dentine deposition, and this type of teeth very importantly is called as the shell teeth. You can see in the radiographic feature this pulp chambers are enormously large, and this type of teeth appearance is called as shell dentine. I already told you in permanent teeth, increase in dentine formation which results into the obliteration of pulp canal. Okay, so if you have any doubt, you can ask me in the comment section. Thank you.